I'm so excited. I'm here today with Mandy, my go-to insurance person, and she is here to answer all the normal questions that people have regarding homeowners insurance here in Florida. Hi, I'm Cheryl, and welcome to Soul by Cheryl, and I'm so excited, so let's get started. So we're just going to dive right in. And the first question that people usually ask me is, well, how much is my homeowner's insurance going to be? So I'm going to let you take it from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So in the state of Florida, a lot of things can determine a rate for a home. With that being said, whether it's block, frame, the age of the home, the age of the roof, companies in Florida want a water heater to be 12 years or newer.
Oh, 12. I thought it was 15, so that's good.
Yeah, everybody's a little different too, but yes, some 12.
Okay.
4-point inspection. Some carriers want to have an inspection 30 years and older, some are 40 years and older, and some even 50 years and older. So that will come into play as well. Wind mitigations are something that are huge in the state of Florida. They can save you $300 to over $1,000 depending on the credits that you're given. I would say a block build has better rates than frame for sure, just because in the event of claims, whether it's water, hurricane, the damage would probably be more drastic with a frame build rather than a block.
And it doesn't matter like with hurricane shutters or anything in this area, does it? Because like coming from South Florida, we always get a huge, well, we had to have shutters, but I
Hmm.
didn't know if it made any difference here or not.
Not here. No, it doesn't. It doesn't here. That's another thing is like we were talking about, homes closer to the coast are a lot more expensive than how we are inland here in Marion County. So we're kind of in the center of the state. So costs are, relatively better, I'd say here. The closer you are to the coast, the more expensive that it is for insurance.
All right, that's awesome because I think coming from different areas, we don't realize all the different factors that go into insurance here. So this is why I go to Mandy. So a lot of times what'll happen is somebody will find the house that's perfect for them. And it'll look okay to me in terms of insurance. So then at that point, that's usually when I'll send it over to Mandy and I'll send her the MLS sheet or any permits that I found, and I'll be like, hey, how much is it going to cost to insure this house so that you can budget that into your monthly payment as well, because if it's a newer house, it's going to be a little bit cheaper than an older home. So maybe your monthly payments would be cheaper with buying a little bit more expensive a house versus insuring that older home. So
Hmm.
it's a really big question, but I'm just trying to let you know that I have this great resource right here that totally will answer that question for us. So um, we are just going to start moving on to the next question after that. So I have a lot of people that come down here and they're looking for mobile homes, which is a great option. But one of the challenges that we have is insurance. So I'm going to let Mandy take it over and she's going to break it down as to what can be insured, especially if you're getting a mortgage on the property.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're in the market for a mobile home in Florida, I would say to look for a build that's 1996, 1994 and newer. I would say most carriers do require the roof to be 12 years and newer. With that being said, it doesn't matter whether it's a shingle or metal roof; both are acceptable. Just 12 years and newer. Same thing with water heaters; they like them to be 12 years and newer as well. If the home is in a park, an actual mobile home park with a resident manager, we're able to write the homes at replacement cost for 1987 and newer. If it's on a private piece of property or just in a neighborhood, they do, like I said, require the home to be 1994 and newer.
What about tie downs? I know there's a thing with tie downs. So kind of explain what that is and what the year is that they want on that.
Okay, so as long as the home is tied down, you're typically in good shape with the 1994 and 1996, like I was saying. The only time that the carriers would want a tie down certification is if the home is an older mobile home. And at that point, we can only write it at actual cash value as well. Replacement cost basically means that the home is written at replacement. In the event of a claim, it's going to be paid at replacement for whatever the claim is rather than actual cash value. It's the depreciated value of the home and whatever the claim may be.
And another thing I'm seeing is that these investors, they'll take an older mobile home and they got it. And it's
Mm-hmm.
gorgeous. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you look at it and it looks like a five-star resort. Granted, everything is
Mm-hmm.
beautiful and you get so excited. This is the great house for me. And it's at my price point. And then we find out that it can't be insured, and explain to us why we can't insure that.
Right. So if we'll just take a 1990 mobile home, for instance, if it's a 1990 and it has been gutted and remodeled, and again, like Cheryl was saying, everything looks beautiful. The problem is that again, the companies, unless it's in a park, to write it at replacement cost, they want it to be 1994, and that's the current underwriting guidelines. That is subject to change at any time, but right now it's 1994. So you can only write replacement cost on a 1994 or newer, and that's what the lenders require, is for it to be written at replacement cost to typically cover the loan amount. So sometimes we run into some problems with being able to write it at replacement cost if it's an older mobile home like that.
Yeah, so I just really wanted to put that out there because we get a lot where they'll take a beautiful piece of property and they make the mobile home gorgeous and we just can't do anything with it. And it's not because there's anything wrong with the home. It's just that
Right.
we can't get insurance. And if we can't get insurance, then you can't get your loan. So we just want to make sure that we can set you up for success and not fall in love with the home that, you may not be able to get for insurance purposes. Okay, so what do you need from them? So they're going to call you up and ask you for a quote. So tell me, what do you need from them?
Yeah, so the first time that I get a phone call, we'll need the name of the client, we'll need their date of birth, the address that they're purchasing, and their prior address. And that is enough for us to just work up a proposal and get a quote from there. After that, I will go ahead, email over the quote to the client. I will give them a phone call, introduce myself, and just let them know after the review if they have any questions, I'll be happy to answer and go through anything they need. When the client decides on a quote that they'd like to move forward with, at that point, I go ahead, I will run reports to finalize a rate, which usually touches on claims history, credit, and insurance score. We would also ask some underwriting questions just to make sure that everything is still eligible. Some of the things as well that we'll need to know is if there's a pool on the property, if you have animals, what type of animals that there are, if you've had a claim, what type of claim it had and when it happened. Um, and that's typically what goes into it. So after we run reports and we do the underwriting questions together, at that point we're able to then plug in the mortgagee clause, send it to the lender, or go ahead and make payment if you're paying for it yourself, and then we're all good.
Right. So even when she gives you the quote, that may change a little bit. So just kind of know that going into that, they'll have that final answer once she runs all those reports and get that. So I just don't want any, surprises, so that if she comes back with a different quote and you said, hey, it's going to be this and then it's going to be that, there are external forces that come in and that may affect it. So
Mhm.
we just want to make sure that you're aware of that.
Yeah, most of the time they do stay the same for most of the time. But after reports are ran, the quote could go up or down a little bit. So there is room for a decrease as well. But until we run reports, the rate won't be finalized.
And just before we close out this question, I also had on my question to answer, and I think that she's already covered everything, is that just because you're buying a 1,500 square foot house, it could be the exact same house, but in a different area.
Hmm.
And there's so many things that go into it. And even once we get those quotes, that even still can change. So it's such a broad question to ask, how much is it going to be, because we have to put so many pieces of that puzzle together
Hmm.
to get the right answer for you. So I get this all the time, especially with my clients that are moving from up north. And I totally understand because I was in the same situation too. Is, let's say you have been insured with a big name company for 30 years and you've never had a claim, you've paid everything, it's all great. And your thought process is no worries, I'll have them insure my house in Florida just like they did up north. And unfortunately, that's probably not going to be the case because this is Florida and things are a little bit different down here. So I'm going to have Mandy explain why that probably is not going to work.
Absolutely. So in Florida, there are a lot of different carriers than there are in other states. With that being said, in my opinion, I think that it is definitely better to try and go through a broker because they represent multiple carriers. If you go through a broker, I will go ahead and probably send you 8 or 9 quotes from different insurance carriers to find a policy that's best for you, tailored to your needs at affordable cost. So a lot goes into it when you're shopping around, like we talked about before. Same thing with rates. It just depends on the type of home, the zip codes, blocker frame, age of roof, water heater, claims history, everything like that. But going through a broker, you're able to shop many different carriers. And, any questions or if you want to do different comparisons, we can go ahead and work that out through the carriers.
And I think too, what I also want to point out is that you probably have never gonna heard of these carriers before, and I get that where, you'll call me up and you'll say, "Cheryl, I've never even heard of these people. Are they legit?" And they are legit. And
Mhm.
go ahead and tell me about the carriers that you look for when you're giving out these quotes.
Yeah, so we only write with carriers that have an A rating or better in the state of Florida. So any quote that's going to come to you from me personally is going to be from an A rated carrier. You can go online, you can Google, you can find their Demotech rating, and you will see that their financial standing is an A or better. The carrier, we don't want you to have a claim and it not getting taken care of because that's not good for anybody. It's not good for you. It's not good for us. So we always want to make sure that whatever carrier you go with, that you're taken care of and everything's right. So if you ever have a question about a rating, I will be happy to go over it with you. Or like I said, you can just do an easy Google search and it will show you right there online that the company is A rating or better.
Yeah, so I just really wanted to let you know on that because I understand completely. It's really different down here, and you're probably going to get a carrier you've never heard of, but that doesn't mean that they're not good. We have systems in place, such as
Hmm.
Mandy, who is an absolute rock star, and she will do the shopping for you. So it's great because when I send you her information, she's going to do all the legwork and get you those quotes and break it down for you and get you a good company because you can maybe find a company that isn't going to cost as much, but then it's kind of like you get what you pay for. Something
Right.
catastrophic happens. We're in Florida, things happen. And when you go to use that, you want to make sure that what you're using is sound. So
Mhm.
that's why I go with Mandy because I know that whatever she's going to provide for you, I can feel good about it and that you're going to get a good carrier. And that's what's most important, is just to make sure that you and your property are covered.
Absolutely.
So is there anything else that you can think of for us that we can do to make your life easier when calling, or anything to provide for you?
No, like I said before, I mean, to just get that quote, we'll need, the name, the property address you're purchasing, date of birth, and your prior address. And after that, I mean, it's very simple to just work up some quotes for you, get them sent over, and then make everything tailored to your needs.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for
Thanks.
doing this. This is going to be a huge help for everybody out there because I know the national news blows everything up. So we wanted to kind of calm your nerves and let you know that yes, you can get insurance, and yes, there's good insurance down here. So
Right.
I hope you found this helpful. If so, please hit subscribe and ring the bell, and we'll get more videos created just for you. Thank you.
Thank you.